Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Rishi goes to the prison to save Lakshmi, but he was not able to save her because the inspector asked him to go and get a bail paper from the lawyer before he can save Lakshmi. But then they were able to communicate and Lakshmi was very happy to see Rishi. So let's continue from there. Shalu and Ayushi collide with each other at the back of Rano's house. Shalu asks Ayushi about his accident. Ayushi says we had collided. This is accident. Shalu says you said it on call that you had an accident. Ayushi says you collided with me and I got the injury. Shalu says you lied to me and she calls him idiot. Ayushi says to Shalu that I wanted to tell you something and that is why I called you. Shalu says brother-in-law haven't come. Ayushi says he has come and he went to meet Lakshmi. Shalu says really and she hugs him and she thanks God that Rishi has gone to save Lakshmi. Ayushi says don't call me unashamed later. Shalu says this is a friendship hug and not other hug. Ayushi asks Shalu that what does she mean about other hug. Shalu says love hug. Ayushi asks how did you know the difference. He asks if she have any boyfriend. Shalu says no. Ayushi says thank God. Ayushi says what is the difference, tell me. Shalu says I will show you and she hugs him again. Shalu says to Ayushi that this is a friendship hug. Ayushi asks how is the love hug. Shalu gets shy. She says let's go to meet Lakshmi. Ayushi says that is why I came to take you and he calls her his new friend, Bebru or baby. Shalu says don't call me baby. Ayushi asks her to come and he make her sit in the car and Shalu sit in front of the seat with him. Rishi come back to the lockup where Lakshmi is locked. He calls Lakshmi. Lakshmi says Rishi. He says he played lock and key game with the police. He asks how is Lakshmi. Lakshmi says I am fine and asks that why did you come again. Rishi says he has come to give his ring and he asks her to keep it with herself and says this is my promise. He asks her to call him if she has any trouble and says his promise will never break. The inspector and the constables comes there and they try to take Rishi away from there. Lakshmi asks the constable not to hold Rishi tightly. Rishi says you are worried for me here and he asks her to count the reverse countdown. He says we will soon be together. I will come and take you. He says we will be together so that you can fight with me and trouble me again. He asks the constables to let him see his wife smile. Lakshmi smiles. Rishi says perfect and he goes. The constable lifts Rishi and take him outside. The inspector says what is this scene? The lady constable says they both seems to be mad. We did not get such a scene before. The lady prisoner praises Rishi and Lakshmi's love. Virendra calls Mayank and asks that how is everyone. Mayank says everyone is fine at the hospital and he asks should I hire the lawyer to free Lakshmi. Virendra says Rishi has returned and he would undo that. Malishka thinks that Lakshmi will never come out of prison and she thinks of how to separate Rishi and Lakshmi forever. Kiran comes there and says there is a good news for us. Malishka asks if Lakshmi got punished. Kiran says no and she tells her that Neelam has promised that Malishka will become a daughter-in-law. Malishka says Rishi's wife. Kiran says Neelam has committed and you will become Rishi's wife. She says your dream will be fulfilled. Ayushi sings song in the car. Shalu is sitting quietly in the car. Ayushi asks that why is Shalu silent and she is not saying anything. He asks did I do any mistake? Shalu says no, just drive the car. Ayushi says he is already driving and he looks at her. Shalu asks Ayushi to look in front and says she doesn't want accident. Ayushi says he is driving and Shalu says that is why she is not talking to him. Ayushi plays a song in the car. Shalu hears the romantic song and she changes the song. The other song is also romantic. She changes it again. Ayushi sings a song, hearing the song, and he stops Shalu from changing the song and he holds her hand. Shalu takes back her hand and asks that why is Ayushi singing? Ayushi asks should I die if he asks me to stop breathing and says he will not stop. Shalu asks Ayushi to stop the car. Ayushi says you just jump. Shalu is about to open the door and jump. Ayushi stops the car. Shalu gets down and asks what happened. Ayushi says RJ was playing the song and says should I hear Bajan? He says my age is romance and marry. He says if I get a girl like you, then I will marry. He says everyone gets married, even our parents. And Shalu asks what nonsense is Ayushi saying? The constable comes there and asks Ayushi if he is troubling Shalu. Shalu says yes, he was teasing me and playing such romantic songs. Ayushi says what are you saying in front of the inspector? The constable says he is a constable and he asks Ayushi to come. Ayushi says I was not teasing her. Shalu says he is not that bad. You can leave him if he says sorry to me. The constable asks Ayush to say sorry to Shalu, but Ayush refuses. The inspector asks Ayush to say sorry. Ayush says sorry. Shalu says nicely. Ayush says sorry again. The inspector asks Shalu to complain to him if he troubles her. Ayush gets upset and drives the car fast. Shalu asks what is he doing, and she asks him to drive slow. Ayush says sorry, sorry again and again. Shalu says it is enough of joke. She says sorry to him and she asks him to drive slow. Ayush plays a music and Banjan gets played. He says sorry Shalu. Shalu also says sorry Ayush. Lakshmi recalls Rishi's promises and she smiles. She says you don't need to say it. I know that you will never break your promise. A song plays in the background. Ayush and Shalu comes to the police station and sees the constable bringing Rishi out while lifting him in their hand. They say that Rishi is so heavy. Shalu says it seems that Rishi couldn't meet my sister because the police are throwing him out by force. Ayush asks Rishi if he is fine. Rishi says I am fine, but after the police are done lifting me, then they are not fine. He thanks the constables and says he really enjoyed their lifting and he is relieved. The constable says we brought you out to throw you out. Rishi says I will come back again as long as my wife is here and you will lift me again. The constable asks Rishi if this is a garden where he would go to swing. Another constable says he got back pain due to Rishi's weight. Rishi says he is a Punjabi from a well-fed house. The lady constable called Aliyah asks Rishi to come again and says she is happy seeing his love story and she wishes that her husband would be like him. Constable Aliyah tells Rishi that Lakshmi will be taken to court after 2 days. Rishi asks if Lakshmi will not get bail till 2 days. Aliyah says no. Shalu asks what is happening. Rishi says time pass. Ayush says seeing your smile, it seems you've met Lakshmi. Rishi says yes and says after meeting Lakshmi, all my problems ended. Shalu says to Rishi that Lakshmi is still in the lockup. Rishi says big people goes to jail and then he promised Shalu that he will get Lakshmi freed after 2 days and he will bring her back home. He says your brother-in-law is promising you and Shalu smiles. Ayush asks Rishi why the constables were carrying him to bring him out. Rishi says no, it was not the meeting time and I went to meet Lakshmi and I forced them to meet her twice, so this happened. Shalu asks if she cannot meet her sister. Rishi says I will bring your sister out safely. Ayush asks Shalu not to be sad and says Rishi will not let anything happen to Lakshmi and says I will not let anything happen to you. Ayush tells Rishi that he will make Shalu meet Lakshmi. Rishi says yes Shalu, Ayush will make you meet Lakshmi even though he was part of the people who sent Lakshmi here and he goes. Ayush comes to the police station with Shalu. The inspector sees the TV and says I don't want it. Ayush says Lakshmi get on well with outside food and that is why my mother sent this food for her. Shalu asks why are you lying? Ayush says it is my plan. Ayush pretends to cry and tells the inspector that Shalu is in shock and she is not responding since her sister is arrested. He asks if there is any mental asylum nearby. He says there is no mental asylum near when the inspector doesn't talk. He asks the inspector if Shalu can take the tiffin. Aliyah asks if he is doing brotherly duty. Ayush says Shalu is not my sister and says we have love angle. Shalu asks Ayush that what are you saying? Ayush asks the inspector to come to his side and he asks him to help him in his love story. The inspector says another love story. Ayush asks can't we have a love story? The inspector says you are handsome and he asks him to talk. Ahana is tensed and she tells Grandma that she is very worried about Lakshmi. Grandma says Rishi loves Lakshmi so much and he will bring her back home. Ahana says yes, Rishi loves Lakshmi so much and that is why he went against Neelam. Rishi comes home. Ahana asks that what about Lakshmi? Rishi says today, Lakshmi cannot come. Grandma says why will Lakshmi still be in jail? Ahana says Lakshmi is innocent. Rishi says I promise that I will bring Lakshmi back after 2 days and says there is a hearing and Dad will talk to the advocate Basu. Ahana says he is a good lawyer. Grandma says Virendra knows him. Rishi asks that how is mom? Ahana says you have gone against your mother so she is not happy. Rishi says I will convince her. Malishka asks that what happened. Rishi says Lakshmi is bearing someone else's doing and he swears that whoever has done this, I will not leave that person. He says I will give so much happiness to Lakshmi that she will forget all her pain and I will keep her happy. Rishi says, I will search for that person who has troubled Lakshmi a lot. Malishka thinks that Rishi should be mad for me, but he is getting mad for Lakshmi. She thinks that Lakshmi has done magic on Rishi. Ahana says whoever has done this has a criminal mind to have played with many people's lives. She says real criminal will be caught. Malishka thinks that catch me, you will search and you cannot even catch my hair. Rishi comes to Neelam's room and says sorry. Neelam asks him not to say anything. Rishi says the matter was about Lakshmi. Neelam says you have gone against me and you supported the girl who has ruined our goodwill. He says Lakshmi cannot do this and it will be proved in court. Neelam says I don't care about the court or your decision because that girl is inauspicious. Rishi says to Neelam that Lakshmi is his wife and you have only asked me to respect the relationship. He says the situation is getting difficult and we are stuck. He says I cannot hurt you even in my dream and says I am in difficult situation and I need your support. He says sorry and he asks her to help him. Rishi says sorry to Neelam and he asks her. Neelam says I did not forgive you yet. Rishi says you have kept your hand on my head so it is enough. Neelam says you are my life. Rishi says you are also my life and always remember that I cannot hurt you even in my dream. Virendra comes there talking to lawyer Basu. Rishi takes the call and goes. At the police station, Ayush asks the inspector to let them meet Lakshmi. He says if you let us go, then I will admit my children in the same school as your children and they will become best friends and they will call you uncle. He says I will ask them to become your informer and the inspector says your love story is wonderful. Ayush says to the inspector that we are their brothers and Shalu and Lakshmi are their sisters. He asks if they can go and meet Lakshmi. The inspector asks him to go. Ayush comes to Shalu and says we can meet Lakshmi. Shalu is about to hug him, but she stops. Ayush says we can have friendship hug. She asks, what did you tell the inspector? Ayush says we don't have time. Let's go and meet Lakshmi. Balvinda meets Malishka and says ordinary girl like Lakshmi has troubled a Mumbai girl like you and now her husband has hired a lawyer. He asks Malishka to give him money and says he will leave. Malishka throws wine on his face and says you will do as I say. She asks if he thinks her to be his ATM. Balvinda says he is asking money for his work. Malishka says she can get any number of Balvinda and she gives him money. Balvinda thinks that he should not tell Malishka about Rano. Malishka asks Balvinda to keep his tongue locked. Balvinda says, I guarantee that Rishi will be yours. Malishka says, Rishi, I will not let you become of someone else. It is my guarantee. Balvinda thinks that Malishka is losing, but she doesn't give up. He thinks to earn more money from her. Ayush and Shalu comes to the meeting room to meet Lakshmi. Lakshmi comes there and asks Shalu and Ayush. They ask if she is fine. Lakshmi says, I am fine. You both need not to worry. Rishi is with me. Shalu says you are alone here. Lakshmi says Rishi said that he will free me very soon. Shalu says brother-in-law said that after 2 days there is court hearing. Lakshmi says 2 days will come soon and says I will rest here for some time. Ayush says to Lakshmi that is jail really a good place to rest and he gets emotional. Lakshmi asks if they brought food for her. Ayush asks Shalu to make Lakshmi eat food. They sit. Lakshmi asks how did they let you come in? Shalu says Ayush did a lot of hard work. Lakshmi asks that why did you worry? Ayush says we are friends and he asks Shalu to make Lakshmi have food. Shalu makes Lakshmi have food. Lakshmi bites her finger mistakenly and says sorry. Ayush gets concerned and blows on Shalu's fingers. Shalu looks at him. Ayush also looks at Shalu. Lakshmi looks at them staring at each other and she thinks if they are just friends, she thinks that they seem to be in love and she smiles. Okay guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a like and check the comment section for the link to the next update once it is available. And I will see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.